Afternoon, respected professors and dear participants. The Department of Commerce of University of Kerala, through its Researchers Forum and with the help of department alumni, always strive to organize multiple programs intended to improve the quality of research and academics. Actually, our Researchers Forum organizes this kind of workshops in offline interactive mode every year. This year, as we all know, due to the pandemic situation, we have planned to organize the same as a comprehensive webinar series to shape focus on research. We are very happy to announce that though we provided only 3 days for registration, within that short span of time, we have crossed almost 200 registrations. Even after that, we are getting queries from various parts of the country regarding further possibility to get registered into it. Due to technical limitations, we can't accommodate more participants this time. Thank you all dear participants for your positive response towards our call. But I am quite sure that this kind of a response is because of our eminent resource pool. The Faculty of Commerce of University of Kerala is blessed with personalities like Dr. S. Kevin, Dr. Simon G. Tattil, Dr. G. Raju, Dr. Azia Begum, and Dr. P.N. Harikumar. I am quite sure that the next few days will be memorable for all the participants. The task entrusted to me is to welcome the dignitaries and participants to this event. Before proceeding to it, let me pass on one more information to you, dear participants. Our Researchers Forum is publishing a journal from the department. We invite quality research papers for publication on the same. You can contact the Forum Secretary, Mr. Ananduraj, for more information regarding that. I am now proceeding to my entrusted task. First of all, let me welcome Dr. G. Raju, the Professor and Head of the Department of Commerce of University of Kerala. Sir, it is your continuous encouragement and guidance which enabled us to materialize this program as of today. We, with profound gratitude, remember your visionary leadership on this occasion. Sir, we, the family of the Faculty of Commerce and the members of the Researchers Forum and the Alumni Association, extends a warm welcome to you, sir. Next is Dr. S. Kevin. Dr. S. Kevin does not require any formal introduction. A well-known academician, a proven administrator, and a researcher, but above all, he is a man of simplicity and integrity. The former Pro-Vice Chancellor of our university, who is another author of 6 books on security analysis and portfolio management, commodity and financial derivatives, fundamentals of international financial management, and a resource person for various national and international programs. Sir is with us today and has consented to inaugurate this program. He has also consented to engage 3 sessions in our training program. Sir, with a deep sense of gratitude, we, the members of the Faculty of Commerce and the Researchers Forum and alumni, and also in the name of all our participants, we extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Next is our Honorable Dean of Faculty of Commerce, Dr. Azia Begum. Ma'am is always inspiring us to work for enhancement of the quality of research and for organizing this kind of training programs. Presently, ma'am is acting as the Dean of Faculty of MG University also. Even in the midst of all the duties and responsibilities, she has always given us directions and suggestions required for organizing this series. Ma'am, we, the members of the Faculty of Commerce, Researchers Forum and Alumni Association, extends you a warm welcome to this function. Welcome, ma'am. Next is Dr. Simon G. Tattil, the Honorable Director of IQAC, University of Kerala, and the Director of School of Business Management. When we plan to organize a webinar series for the research scholars and research aspirants, it is Dr. Simon sir who provided us all valuable inputs to shape this program to the one which is getting inaugurated today. Despite all his busy work in the university as the IQC director, he found time to look into all minute aspects to this webinar series. He is here with us today to give us an input regarding the program as a whole. Some of you may have doubts regarding practical sessions and submission of assignments and so on. Sir will clarify the same and help you to reap maximum benefit from the series. Sir, we the members of the Faculty of Commerce, Researchers Forum and Alumni Association extends you a warm welcome to this function, sir. And we also have Dr. P.N. Harikumar with us. He is a professor of our department and he is an eminent resource person engaging classes all over the country. And he also consented to engage a session in this webinar series. He is a person with 2 PhDs, both in commerce and management, and a resource person in various academic staff colleges in the country. His advice and direction also helped us to design this webinar series in this manner. Sir, with the faculty members of the Department of Commerce, Researchers Forum and Alumni extend to you a warm welcome, sir. Then to all my dear colleagues, Dr. Biju A.B., Lakshmi, Vinu Ashok, and all office bearers and members of the Researchers Forum, including Ananduraj, and all officials and members of the alumni, including Gauri, with a deep sense of gratitude, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. Finally, to my all dear participants, here we have teachers and researchers from various parts of the country and also prospective researchers and MPhil students. I extend a warm welcome to you all to this webinar series. Wish you all fruitful days ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much. I invite Dr. G. Raju for the presidential address.
So, good afternoon, most respected chief guest of today, Dr. Kevin, respected Dean, Faculty of Commerce, Dr. Sia Begum, Dr. Simon, the Director of School of Business Management and Legal Studies, as well as the Director of School of the IQAC, Dr. Harikumar, Dr. Biju T, Dr. Biju A.V., Mr. Vinu Ashok, Ms. Lakshmi, Mr. Anandu, Ms. Sruthi, and my dear research scholars and friends who join for this academic exercise. I start this presidential address with the hope and prayer that all of you are safe in your home and praying for that also. Today, at the outset itself, I congratulate the Researchers Forum of our department as well as the Alumni Association of our department, in the sense that when we have a 100% or nearly 100% lockout, they are active in different academic activities. During this lockout period itself, they had organized 2 other webinars also. And this is the 3rd one in that series. And the first one was organized under the initiative of Mr. Biju. Under the initiative of Dr. Harikumar. Then the second one under the initiative of Dr. Biju A.V. And this 3rd one, I requested to Biju to organize this kind of a workshop. Originally, we planned to organize a webinar for this publication of research finding in the form of articles or other proceedings or something like that. But when we discussed about the issue in detail, Dr. Simon told that instead of restricting to a single aspect, why can't we have an overall view of the research process? Because usually we people with the Department of Commerce usually organize this kind of an overview about the research process at the time of PhD admission. And this time, because of the lockdown and other crises, we couldn't organize that kind of a program. So originally, we planned to organize this kind of a workshop mainly for the emerging research scholars, the upcoming researchers. And that is why we planned an entire process of research in this research process. And starting with the research problem, it goes up to project, that is after publication, submission of some project proposals, etc. As all of you know, the research has its own importance, especially in the present day. The world is engaged in research. So don't see that only the science people or the physical science, they are engaged in research to find out a vaccine for this particular pandemic. Not only that, not only the science people or the physical science people, even social scientists too are engaged in the present scenario. Like with the scientists, the social scientists are also engaged in the present scenario for how to solve the present crisis faced in our society. Of course, that pandemic is there, but being a commerce man, I think its worst effect is in the socio-economic aspect. It has affected almost all the sectors. Recently, I met an Ayurvedic doctor, and he's told that, and his response was that the only one sector which are not affected by this pandemic is the government employees. But I can't agree with his argument. Even government employees too are admitted. He was speaking in terms of monetary benefit. He told that the government employees, whether it is lockdown or whether they are in office or they are in home, they are getting salary. In that sense, he told that. No, I can't agree with that argument. I think that, or I feel that government employees too are affected by the present pandemic. And that is why I told that the world is engaged in research at present. The science people or the physical science people, they are researching again and again to find out a vaccine. Not only in a particular country, not only by the Russia, China, even our country, in throughout the world, the people are engaged in finding out a vaccine or how to overcome the present crisis. Like that, the social science people are also engaged. And there comes the importance of research. So research has its importance anytime. Don't see that at present we have no problems. We have n number of problems. And today, keeping that point in mind, the Department of Commerce decided to organize this kind of a program, and for that the initiative has been taken by the Researchers Forum as well as Alumni Association. At the outset itself, I congratulate the Researchers Forum as well as Alumni Association. And today, this webinar series, a 10-day webinar series, in the sense that start with the problem. Of course, all of you know the process of research. A research starts with the identification of a problem. After identifying the problem, we have to engage a detailed literature review related to that particular topic. And after that literature review, we have to again clear cut the problem, or we have to shrink the problem with a suitable title and objectives of the study. And based on the objectives of the study, we have to frame some hypothesis for its having a better answers or for a speedy answers to the objectives. Of course, we can do research even without hypothesis. But if hypotheses are there, it is very easy to arrive at the answers to the research question. So hypothesis we have to formulate. Then we have to frame, or we have to decide about the type of research design. Then we have to fix the sample size, the population, the required sample, how the sample can be fixed, and how to identify the respondent and all these things. Then we have to test the hypothesis, and after testing the hypothesis, we have to prepare the final inferences in the form of a report, especially for a PhD work, and that we have to submit the report to the university. So we have to prepare a report, and don't feel that by preparing the report, the work of a scholar or work of a researcher comes to an end. No. The report preparation is not an end to a researcher. And after that, as per the present PhD criteria, we have to go before submitting the thesis to the university. The scholar is supposed to undergo a pre-submission process. Then after pre-submission, the suggestions incorporated by the august audience have to be incorporated in the report, and then the report has to be submitted to the university. And once the university decides for its further process, that means all the examiners came to a consensus that the scholar deserves the degree of PhD, then again the scholar has to make a open presentation before an invited audience, that is open defense, and don't feel that there ends the research. And there too, it's not an end point. Again, the scholar can make a lot of publications based on his research, and even he can go for PDF or for further project work on all these things. So these are the different process or stages in a research that all of you know. I'm sure that. And here, we, the Department of Commerce, we resolved to bring all these processes into 10 objectives. And accordingly, we restrict all these processes into 10 questions to be answered by a research scholar in his process of getting a PhD degree. And we shrink these processes into 10 objectives, and that is why this 10-day webinar series on shaping focused research. So the idea behind this webinar series is to give some input to the budding researchers, to the new researchers, and it also helpful to the scholars who are currently doing researchers, in the sense that we have incorporated some practical sessions. So those who are undergoing the research, they can come up with their problems and their hurdles, and they can interact with the resource persons, and the input they get through the webinar, they can use it for refreshing their research. And so, even though originally, as I told that, we planned the webinar as a just an introductory one, an overview only, also an eye opener like that. But subsequently, we decided that, of course, it is an eye opener, plus it should give some input to the research scholars who are currently undergoing their research work. And with that objectives, we framed the module of this webinar, and all the process is restricted into this 10-day program. Not 10 day, actually it goes to 18 days, but based on the title, it is a 10-day program, as well as 10-day, we are all the process is restricted in 10 day, and different resource persons and well-known resource persons like Dr. S. Kevin. He is a very good researcher as well as a noted academician throughout the world, even now in the sense that even though he had left the teaching job officially years back, when he assumed as the Pro-Vice Chancellor, during that period he continued his academic as well as research activities. Even after that, even after his Pro-Vice Chancellorship, he is continuing as the director of one of the management institutes. So he is continuing with the teaching and research activities, and he is teaching not only in Kerala, and he usually, I came to know that he is usually going to Bombay for taking classes there in Mumbai University and other colleges there. So he is a very good person, and we feel that he is the right person to inaugurate this webinar series, and that is why we have invited Professor Dr. S. Kevin for inaugurating this webinar series. Then we have Dr. Simon with us. Most of the sessions in this 10 questions will be answered by Dr. S. Kevin as well as Dr. Simon. As all of you know that he is also a busy person. At present, he has so many administrative responsibilities too, but actually it is the brainchild of Dr. Simon. So I respect him for giving this kind of an idea of bringing the whole research process into 10 questions. So Dr. Simon is with us. Then Dr. Hari is also with us in this webinar series. He is a person who is mostly concentrated in the data analysis. I have a different opinion with him that some of the researchers are, especially some of the statisticians, are giving more importance to unnecessary application of statistics. I personally feel that this kind of too much statistics is not necessary. Even with percentages and tables, you can frame a report. But of course, these kinds of analysis or model building are required if the study is that kind of an analytical. If your study is an explorative or descriptive study, even with percentages and tables, you can come or you can answer a research question. But I am not totally against this kind of data analysis, but not by Mr. Harry. Some of the research scholars are giving undue importance for unnecessary use of statistics. Of course, we can use statistics. Of course, that part will be cleared by Dr. Harry as well as Dr. Kevin, Dr. Simon, etc. Of course, you can have application of statistics, but if the objectives needs or the hypothesis needs that kind of statistics, that hypothesis can be there. No need of unnecessary modeling or unnecessary statistics. Of course, it is good if the research design deserve that kind of a study. Anyway, Dr. Harry is an expert in data analysis, so he is also there for this section. Then our Dr. Rasia Begum is also, I think she also joined for this inaugural address. She is also a busy person, and she's a Dean of Kerala University Commerce Faculty as well as Dean of MG University. She has also contributed her role for shaping this kind of a webinar series. Then our new faculties, as I already told, Dr. Biju T is with us, Dr. Biju AV is with us, then Mr. Vinu Ashogi is there, Ms. Leshmi is also there, then the coordinator of the programs, that is Shruti, as well as our researchers forum Anantu is also there. All these people, including the help of our research scholars, including the help of our full-time research scholars, how came to this kind of a shaping of research process. And today we are all waiting for the inaugural ceremony, and like a physical inaugural section, here also we planned the inaugural session in a fantastic manner, and that is why we organized this kind of a program. And for giving further clarifications, Dr. Simon as well as Dr. Rasia is there. So with these opening remarks, once again I thank you all. Of course, I know that you have your own problems, especially yesterday some of my scholars asked that they are not getting fellowship due to some problems and all these things, but some other problems are there. So as our Chief Minister quite often say that some problems are there. Of course, we have to bear with that. Even with these problems, you have taken much initiative for organizing this kind of a webinar. So in advance, I thank all of you. Of course, vote of thank is there. Before that, being the head of the department as well as being the ex officio president of both of these organizations, Alumni Association and Researchers Forum, I thank all the organizers for organizing this kind of a webinar series so that our mode will be active, because otherwise during lockdown, there may be more, of course, we may go for an ideal situation to avoid that kind of an ideal situation. Of course, this kind of attending or participating in this kind of webinar is good, and for that our department is organizing this 10-day exercise. And with this opening verse, I thank you all, and I thank you once again the organizers. Thank you all. Then I request Dr. Biju to proceed with the further proceedings in the inaugural address. Thank you all, please.
Thank you, Raju sir. All participants are requested to mute your audio as well as video. Please don't click the present button for the smooth conduct of the program.
I request the Honorable former Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Kerala, Dr. S. Kevin, to kindly inaugurate this webinar series and to render the inaugural message. So please.
Good afternoon, all participants. Dr. Raju, the head of the Department of Commerce, Dr. Rasia Begum, the Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Kerala University, as well as MG University, Dr. Simon Tuttle, the IQSU Coordinator of the University of Kerala and Faculty of the Department of Commerce, Professor Hari Kumar, Dr. Biju Terence, Dr. Biju AV, other respected teachers of the department, research scholars, office bearers of Alumni Association and the Research Scholars Forum, and above all, my dear participants who are located in different parts of the country. We are now at the inaugural session of the 10-day webinar series on focused research, finding answers to questions. I'm really very happy to be a participant in the webinar. At the outset, I wish to congratulate the Alumni Association and the Researchers Forum of the Department of Commerce for taking the initiative to organize this webinar series. I, along with the participants, sincerely thank the teachers and the research scholars who are working very hard to organize this event, because everywhere there's a lockdown and it is very difficult to work. But in spite of these difficulties, the organizers, the people behind this event, have been strenuously working towards the success, and more than 200 people registered for the program shows the initial success of the program. I personally like the title. And the contents of the program, of the webinar, very much shaping focused research, finding answers to questions. Because research scholars are very often moving around without proper focus, because they have many questions regarding research without the correct answers. So they only have the questions, they do not have the answers, and therefore they do not know what to do. So they are moving around, going from people to people, finding how to do research. I'm sure this webinar will definitely provide researchers the required focus to continue their research. And moreover, this format, the question answer format, finding answers to specific questions, as already explained by Dr. Raju. So there are specific questions and specific answers will be provided in the webinar. I think that's a novel format for a webinar. Normally we have a topic and people come and discuss about the different aspects of this topic. But here the format itself is slightly different. Now that's interesting. And that's more, I feel that's much more useful, because the researchers, that is precisely what the researchers want. As I said, they have a lot of questions, but no answers. So here are the questions, and the answers will be provided by the scholars who are the resource persons who are participating. So that's something which I liked again very much. So I wish to offer my compliments to the originators of this idea, of this new format. I think this format should be continued for further seminars and webinars. I wish to offer some introductory remarks regarding research. Research is a familiar word, but an unfamiliar process. That's the whole problem. The word is very familiar. We, especially the scholars, every hour they keep on using this word, research. But the process is very often unfamiliar. We know that it is a process with different sequential stages, and each stage is equally important for the success of the research. And that was very well explained by Dr. Raju in his presidential remarks. The challenge before the researcher is to identify these stages, to find out, to know, understand what are the activities involved in each stage, and more especially become skilled in performing these activities. That is the crucial aspect. they have to acquire the skill of performing the different activities involved in the different stages of the research process. Methodology classes, seminars, and now webinars will help the researchers in understanding the process, in knowing the process, but it may not help them in getting the skill required for the process. What is really required is the skill. See, all researchers know the different stages. Everybody knows the different stages of a research process. We start with selecting a significant topic for the research study. Then we have to become well versed with the conceptual framework of the topic. Then the researcher has to carry out a literature survey and write up a literature review. Then he has to prepare the research design. Then moves on to sampling, questionnaire preparation, pilot study, data collection, data analysis, the application of statistical tools. Dr. Raju mentioned about the unnecessary application for the sake of application. So there it is very judiciously, the statistical tools have to be very judiciously applied, appropriately selected and applied. Very important aspect of research. Hypothesis testing involving the application of statistical tools, and finally writing the research report. Everybody knows these stages, these steps, and each stage involves different types of activities. The question is, what are the activities involved and how to perform these activities optimally? That is a real issue. There, the researcher has to acquire the required skills. How do you acquire a skill? Knowledge you can get by reading, by listening to lectures, but how do you acquire the skill? That is the whole problem in research. In research, the researchers have to acquire the skill. Now, this involves an experiential learning process of trial and error, making mistakes, learning from the mistakes, searching for optimal solutions, discussions with different people. So all that is practically involved. Moreover, it involves a lot of agony, frustration, and many research scholars are tired out, frustrated during their research days. And each researcher has to build his own learning curve. The learning curve may not be the same for each researcher. Each of you have to develop your own learning curve. So there will be a lot of frustration, there will be a lot of agony, but remember, at the end of the road, there is much happiness and joy waiting for you. Those who have completed their thesis and been awarded the PhD degree will testify to that, how happy they are, how filled with joy they are. But to reach that stage, the researchers have to continue their research activity in spite of all the difficulties with their focus. So once you lose your focus, then you are in trouble. So keeping that focus is the most important aspect of the research and getting the skills required for performing the different activities involved in the different stages of the research process. So this is in fact the relevance of this webinar, I feel, because this webinar is aimed at giving you the focus. The title itself is Shaping Focused Research. So this webinar is very beautifully designed, conceived, and designed excellently. And there are a lot of people working behind it. I'm sure they will try to make it a grand success for the Department of Commerce. That is definite. So, and this webinar will definitely help the participants, be they teachers or research scholars or students. Everyone will be benefited to get the right focus and be on the right track. I wish the program complete success, perfect success. Also, I wish the participants, each one of you, fruitful sessions each day of this webinar. And I wish to thank the Department of Commerce, the professor and the other faculty members of the department for inviting me to inaugurate this very important and serious exercise. I really enjoy, because I am a person who takes classes for researchers. So with your permission, with the permission of the department, with the permission of all the participants, I formally inaugurate this 10-day webinar series on shaping focused research. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the words of encouragement and support.
Here we have with us the Dean of Faculty of Commerce of University of Kerala, as well as Dean of Faculty of Commerce of MG University, Dr. Asiya Begum. Ma'am will give us, ma'am will felicitate the gathering. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Biju. Respected Professor and Head, Dr. G. Raju, who is presiding over this online inauguration function. Distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. S. Kevin, formerly Pro Vice Chancellor and Professor of University of Kerala. Respected Director, IQAC, Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, currently Professor at the department, and Director, School of Business Management and Legal Studies. Dr. Biju T, who is the coordinator of this program. My other colleagues, Professor P.N. Harikumar, Dr. Biju A.V., Ms. Lakshmi, Mr. Vinu Ashok, then Ananturaj Gaudi, representing Forum and Alumni Association, other office bearers, and all the members of Researchers Forum and Alumni Association. Then we have 153 delegates participating this online inauguration online. So all the teachers, research scholars, and delegates who are online, good afternoon, all of you. Hope you are all safe and healthy during this unprecedented time. At the outset, let me also join in congratulating our Researchers Forum and Alumni Association and the coordinator, Dr. Biju, for organizing this 10-day webinar series, hands-on training in research methodology, which is captioned as Shaping Focused Research, finding answers to 10 questions. I remember in 2015 also, we had a similar program, similar workshop. It was also of 18 days duration. As like Rajisa said, though the schedule is given, program is titled as 10 days, it extends to 18 days in fact. There are 8 days of practice sessions. So in fact, this is also of 18 days duration. In 2015, my dear colleague, Professor Simon, as always, took the initiative of organizing a similar workshop, hands-on training for the researchers in social science. And that was also titled as Shaping Focused Research. Kevin sir was very fascinated by the name. We hope we will be going ahead with the same title, because this is the second time Professor Simon is coming with the title, very catching, very appealing title, Shaping Focused Research. At that time also, it has been very effective. It was very effective. We had participation of more than 100 research scholars from different locations. we had participants from other states also. It was definitely on offline mode. We made arrangements for the accommodation of resource persons and participants from distant places. So that kind of a gathering is not possible now. That's why we are going online. Anyway, though we are physically, yes, sorry for the, disturbance. I was telling about our earlier program in 2015. Professor Simon himself took the initiative of organizing a similar program in 2015. If I am right, it was in July 2015. He took the sole initiative of organizing a similar program. It was of 18 duration. It was captioned as Shaping Focused Research itself. Kevin sir was very fascinated about the title. So this is our second program with the same title. Hope we'll be going ahead with the same appealing title. That program in 2015 also we had so many participants. We had more than 100 participants from different locations and different states. It was on offline mode. It was very effective. We made arrangements for the accommodation of resource persons and participants from distant places. Unfortunately, we cannot go for that kind of a gathering or offline sessions now. That's why we are going online. Then I was trying to tell the background of that program. Our observations in the doctoral committees made us strongly feel that this kind of a training is very much essential for the scholars because as my previous speakers were explaining, they need proper guidance in many things. Then this is actually very particular in the present system of doctoral committee. As per the new regulations, the student appears the doctoral committee without the support or guidance of a supervising teacher. Supervising teacher will be allotted only after successfully going through the doctoral committee. But in the previous years, the student would have searched for a supervising teacher using his or her connections, and on getting consent from the supervising teacher, there would have been several sittings. They will sit together and discuss on a broad area of research based on mutual interest. They will decide about the topic of research, and even the guide was also present in the doctoral committee. That means any clarifications needed would have been sorted out then and there itself. But now the candidate alone prepares the synopsis, including the title, objectives, methodology, sampling, everything. There is no guidance for the students. We cannot blame them. That is why we felt the need for this kind of a program. Then what I was trying to tell, this type of, so a systematic learning is very much essential for the effective completion of the research work of the thesis and for coming out with creative, useful knowledge. This HOD has explained the program in detail. This webinar envisages to provide the delegates a hands-on training. This starting from identification of research problem to the guidelines in preparing the final draft of the thesis. It even includes the application side also, because the Professor Simon envisaged this program. So this is very fantastic thing, including the application side of the research findings, research output. That's a very, very good thing. Professor Simon will be giving an overview about the 10 key areas identified. It also covers the role of periodic presentations and pre-submission seminars. Students can have to do periodic presentations as they progress in their work. Then, as Raju sir was telling, even though it's a 10-day program, it goes to last day of this month, 31st July, 31st August. So there are 25, 26 days. There are 4 practice sessions. This is for providing enough gap between the sessions. The input of one session will be received from the output of the previous session. So after 2 days of session, there would be one practice session. Based on that, the input for the subsequent session will be decided. So a very eminent resource persons will be handling the sessions. I am quite sure that all the delegates would be immensely benefited by attending this program. I wish all the very best to the program. Then additionally to the research scholars, I would like to bring to your notice 2 things. You may be knowing because you might have the experiences, at least some of you might have the experience of getting disappointed for not getting marks for your publications while you attended selection committees in colleges and universities. Because the old list of UGC approved journals has been replaced by the new UGC care list. Many of you may be knowing that I believe, but if there is anyone who doesn't know it, please take it from this session. CARE stands for Consortium of Academic Research and Ethics. So from June 14th, 2019 onwards, publications in UGC CARE list alone will be considered. So you have to be very careful while choosing the journal for publishing your article. You have to be very careful. Now, recently, there is a long list of cloned journals which are being removed by the CARE list. So be very careful about when you visit the CARE list site. In the last, there is a column towards the last, or the last column is action. Means whether it is approved, whether it is removed, you can get all the details. But it was recognized till which month of which year, all such information will be depicted in the CARE list site. And there's a separate list of cloned journals. So publication in that cloned journals are not at all worthy hereafter. So take care of all those things. Then recently, during this pandemic period, UGC has again issued a public notice about the self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism, or otherwise it is called text recycling. As per that public notice, it shows that any previously published article of our own, we cannot modify. If we modify it without proper acknowledgement and referencing, it would amount to self-plagiarism or text recycling. That is also not valid for academic purpose. Academic purpose includes research, selection, promotion, etc., etc., etc. Then, so you have to be very serious about writing entirely new articles, devoting your time for writing new articles, original new articles for your academic purposes. Then, even though in Kerala University, the final draft of the PhD thesis was put for, plagiarism testing using the ID and password provided to the research guide from the Urkund site. We ensured that plagiarism is very less. But it was not compulsory in Kerala University to attach the certificate of plagiarism. So hereafter, it will become mandatory that students have to attach the plagiarism certificate in their thesis, confirming that the level of similarity with other publications or other documents are less than a stipulated percentage. See, if it is a 3% similarity, if the report says there is 3% similarity, it means there is 97% uniqueness. It is that meaning. So be very serious and committed in your research work. I hope that your research would be ending with good memories. So I wish all this program grand success, and I thank the organizers and my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now we are proceeding to the most important area of today's inaugural session. Dr. Simon sir will explain how you will be able to develop your own learning curve through this webinar series. So I welcome Dr. Simon Tuttle for a presentation of overview of this program.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
The president of this meeting, of this inaugural session, the professor and head of the Department of Commerce, Professor G. Raju, distinguished inaugural speaker and eminent author, Professor S. Kevin, the former Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Kerala, Professor Rasia Begum, the Dean of our Faculty of Commerce of both University of Kerala as well as Mahatma Gandhi University, Professor Hari, the coordinator, Dr. Biju AV, my other colleagues, Lakshmi Vinu, the Alumni Association and Research Forum representatives, all dear scholars from near and far. Indeed, it's a pleasure to be back with all our scholars on a very crucial webinar, which is associated with research. Research is in fact an area on which there has been lots and lots of thinking, consistent policy interventions, repeated changes which are coming up, because every change talks about a need for further change. So it is in this perspective that we looked at this particular series that we are organizing on shaping focused research. In continuation of what Professor Kevin and Professor Rasia was talking about, this title of ours, Shaping Focused Research at the Department of Commerce of the University of Kerala, is not new. In fact, years back, we started off with this title and a proposal on that as an in-house system for our research scholars with weekly presentation. Then, as Professor Rasia rightly pointed out, in 2015, we made it an exchange program, and we had an 18-day program, which received overwhelming response, and it was well taken by research scholars. And again, we are coming up with the same idea. This time, we have put it as answering 10 questions. And the reason for this is, in fact, the number of phone calls that we get from researchers across the country on how do I caption my research work? What is the title that I give? What exactly is or would be the problem on which I focus? How do I formulate my objectives? Do I, in fact, need a hypothesis? If so, how do I hypothesize? What is my sample size? How do I decide the sampling frame? How do I go about testing? How do I write a good report? Such issues. So we thought it would be right, rather than putting it across in different forms, to answer one question in each session, or to help in finding answer to one question in a session. The finding of the answer would be based on the researcher's work or the researcher's thinking, and the support or the mentoring is what actually this will give. How you need to identify a problem, how you set the objectives, and how you go about the entire process, right from the problem to the research report, and even thereafter, what do you do with your findings? How do you reach out with your findings? How do you publish your findings? And what do you actually mean by the numerous processes that go on in terms of the research processes through which we are going? That is, you have your pre-submission seminar, you have your open defense and all. The key challenge, based on my experience, which I would like to share here, that we face is the stereotyping or the ritualistic kind of approach that we adopt for this, which at times has diluted the entire process of research. What I mean by this is, when we often look at the starting point, do we actually have a problem? Many a times the problem is that we do not know what exactly we should launch upon. The launch pad is not clear. There are numerous issues in business, trade, industry, and commerce which need to be researched. and each time its relevance keeps changing. But instead of directly looking into that, our problem often is, how do I attain a research degree? So the prime issue is a focus which is shifting from research, the process, to the degree. And when the end result is just a degree, everything stands to evolve from that. How do I get a degree? And to get the degree, what are the minimum things that I need to do? On the other side, contrary to this, if you start looking at this process in its holistic perspective, in a form in which it is going to throw good light, true light on the research issue, it would be a very joyful process which we can pursue, and it will culminate in a degree as well. So this is the backdrop in which we try to look at it, and this is how we are going to address this. So all scholars, when we talk about the practical session, we are all sharing the format for the practical session. What you have to do, instead of making it a lengthy ritualistic process, you just focus on how actually I look at a problem and I write down the statement of that problem. The challenge which we face as evaluators and examiners is that we just can't understand the problem. We read the entire statement of the problem, and after reading the entire para or the entire page on the statement of the problem, we just do not understand what exactly is the problem. So here in this practical session, we are trying to help you in identifying the problem, which could be maybe one or two statements which evolve from an emerging scenario. That is what we are trying to help you in, and that is how you need to look at it when it is very focused on a particular issue. When this is not clear, when the problem you have at hand is not clear, how do you have objectives? How can you hypothesize? We just find statements of hypothesis where there are lots of commonality or uniformity in the hypothesis drafted, that you want to see whether there is a significant difference between urban and rural, between manufacturing and service, between male and female. A lot of variables are just pushed into in order to see whether there is a difference. Research is, in fact, just finding answers to two key questions. Number one, what is that you wanted to find out? That is your problem. Are you clear about what is that you wanted to find out? And the second issue is, how are you trying to find it out? And when you say you have hypothesized and you want to study the differences, whether it is significant or not, research all the time unfolds the question, which is, so what? You are trying to say there is a correlation between two variables. The answer to this perhaps is, yes, there is a correlation. So what are you trying to say through it? There is an urban-rural difference. What are you saying through it? Yes, the difference does exist. Statistically, yes. What are we trying to establish through it? So the key aspects of this particular session that we are trying to focus on is, have a problem which is genuine in your heart. Internalize that. Introspect over that. Over which you have your objectives. Based on that, you have your test. And if you say in your hypothesis, whether you accept it or reject it, you are trying to say there is a difference or there is a correlation or there is an estimated value. What are you trying to say beyond that? Speak beyond that. Try to interpret that. So these are certain specific skills which I think those who are doing research on issues relating to commerce, industry, and management need to capture on a very strong footing. Now, we are doing this on an online mode, which is shaping focused research. Your SFR is first moving into the online mode. There are a number of challenges and opportunities on this, and there are a number of challenges and opportunities for ongoing research in future in the post-pandemic situation, which we need to understand. And I think one is already what you have seen. Earlier, we could accommodate only 75 in a hall, which we had in the department, and we took 100 and made alternate arrangements. So we had lots of interaction in the face-to-face mode. And at the same time, here now we have a larger number which is possible. So there is a greater sharing, there is a greater access, which is a possibility. But again, we have to be very serious with the mode in which you are. Because now the most common words that we use when it comes to research or in online presentations is, you have seen that happening now also, am I audible? Can the screen be seen? So these are the two things that we see, and you, in order to ensure its viability in the presentation, you ask others to keep themselves muted. But muted does not mean that you're masking them and asking them to be silent. We want all of you to be live. That is the key to this, because you see this, the only challenge which we had in the earlier offline mode is that you are in a hall and you are face to face. There also, perhaps there could be a tendency for you to sleep over the presentation. But then you need a bit of high level skills to sleep with your eyes opened. Now here it is a situation where you are offline, but don't be off the webinar. Don't be off the topic. Try to involve with all your might and all your strength, finding key answers to what is that I'm trying to find out, and put it just in one sentence or two sentences, as brief as possible in the format, and share it. Over a period of time, when you're using this process of shaping focused research, which is a continuous process, you will see that you are getting your process more and more refined. Always keep answering the why of what you're doing. Why have I selected this topic? Why am I writing an objective like this? Why am I hypothesizing like this? Why should I use this test and not another test? Why should I use a tool of this kind? If it is it meaningful? Why am I putting this in the form of a table? Why am I putting it in the form of a diagram? What matter is this diagram comprehensively speaking about? Such issues are things which we need to actually look over in the 10-day question answers that you're trying to find out, and the practical sessions and the online submissions that you're making. So we hope that this will be of immense use to you, not only just in making this your upcoming research something which is truly knowledge based, it is also a very good tool for you in strengthening your future processes. All those who are planning to enter research and teaching as a career, understand for them, future is going to be based on all limitations of time and space being broken. That means you ought to be a teacher, not just for one institution. You need to have online courses. You need to have online presentations. You need to have e-content created for you. You need to have your publication base strengthened. You need to have your intellectual property base strengthened. And all these aspects, if the key that you draw from here is taken in its letter and spirit, you carry it home, you will find that this is going to be a really useful exercise for you. Now, when we design this, when we are talking about this, keep in mind that we are actually looking for a movement in research. And that movement is a formidable movement from data to wisdom. I'll just shed some light before I conclude on this, on how this movement takes place. We all start with a problem. Once you have your problem, which is clearly understood, perhaps a significant part of your research issues are resolved, because I know very clearly what am I looking into, what am I probing into, what I should be focused on. Once this is clear, I start collecting data. I need to keep in mind that the data that I collect is pertinent and relevant. I need not collect data which is immaterial. I need not ask questions which are immaterial. At times we go on asking questions on a person's profile, not understanding why are we asking these questions. So relevant material data. Now, once you have data with you, keep it very clear that this data is only a raw material for your process. You need to convert this into information. It is for this transformation that you apply tools. It is not for the sake of a tool that you use a tool. The transformation, you are processing this data, making it information. There the work does not end. That is also just a step in the process. You need to again move from data to information. From information, you move to knowledge. This is the skillful use of that information in a context. I keep telling our research scholars that the processed data or the result that you get does not in itself constitute a finding. Many a times we see research presentations talking about a finding which says that there is no significant difference between two variables. The correlation between two variables is very high. Now, this is only a result. There has been a significant increase in one value, or the trend lines move in association. But from this, what is the knowledge? The knowledge of it talks about if the relationship is like this, if the data association is like this, what are you trying to imply from that? Can you pull out that? Can you talk about that? If there is a correlation between two variables, why? What is it trying to say? If there is a difference between urban and rural outcome, what could be the reason for that? It is there that the strength of the research, the quality of the research, the application of the research, the social outcome of the research comes. So you move into that. And every small process that we indulge in, including what we are now doing, try to take it as an exercise which is going to support you in the joyful process of research, not in the pursuit of a mere degree. Let that joyful process give you a degree, but beyond that, try to look at the implications of the small things that you carry out. Don't increase, don't just dwell upon numbers, 5 objectives, 18 hypotheses, this many things and all. Because we still keep getting questions like that. I did 99 reviews, should I go by 100? I have only 3 objectives, should I make it 4? Or I have done 8 tests, should it become 9? So I have got this many suggestions, should it be more? It is not the numbers that are important. It is the quality and the implication and the rationale of what you're going to say that is going to stand out. On that line, you'll have to be very focused. In future, that is going to be, because we are very fast even moving into the online mode of presentations, online mode of thesis writing, online mode of thesis submission. So all this is talking about your capability to look at the research scenario on a wider perspective. You need not even confine. Most of our research problems, if you look at our state or even other states, you see in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra Pradesh. Now, when you're doing your data search, these are the days when the COVID pandemic came. We saw a number of questionnaires being shooted out in the online mode, and respondents were collecting data. You can get data on a wider scale. Only then you will find that your research is something which is being accessed by a larger group. That is where your publication counts. That is where your citation goes up. That is where the impact factor becomes stronger. So on that line, don't get extremely confined. There was a time where things were put very wide without a confining aspect on the problem. But today now we have become so specific that people are, it looks like a small case study of a small aspect. Now I need to enhance that part where I move from information to knowledge. And finally, data, information, knowledge, the highest part is wisdom. The wisdom is, how do I resolve? I started with a problem. Do I end with shedding light on what caused the problem and how perhaps this problem can be resolved? If that, I can throw some light on that. If not a resolution, at least certain ways and means to address that. That is where I use my findings. That is where I ventilate my findings to the outside world. On that footing, we should be able to do something. And I think if that can be done, it's an enriching exercise. It's an empowering exercise. So I wish all of you put your mind and soul into this. Look at it in a very serious perspective. We at the Department of Commerce, University of Kerala would be willing to help you out on that line. But one-to-one, because we are doing that on a big way across the state and even in some other parts. Even today, I just finished one program for Osmania University in Hyderabad on the online mode. But when it comes in a collective mode, we also learn how to refine this. And most of the universities are now moving into the research directorate process. They are having a separate directorate for that. They are looking at intellectual property rights cells for that. We are also looking at what is the kind of involvement that is required to get into wider, more quality-based publications. And this is also obviously going to be a very strong area for consultancy for all research scholars. So all the budding research scholars and all those who intend to enter into this, try to use it to the best of your advantage. Try to use it to the best of the advantage of the entire, our society and our country, considering the emerging scenario in which we are and the opportunity that it unfolds. I wish this webinar, all the participants, a very joyful research exercise for you to involve, for you to relook at yourself, for us all to strengthen our intellectual thinking on research. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the valuable words.
So before proceeding to the final part of today's inaugural session, let me inform something, dear participants. From tomorrow onwards, the link will be shared just 30 minutes before the start of the session. And try to log into the session by using the email ID you used for registration. From your registered email ID only, you just try to log into the sessions. That will be helpful for organizers also. Then try to participate in all sessions and all practical sessions. Now, tomorrow, the academic session begins at 6 p.m. in the evening. Dr. Kevin will be with us for the first session. The detailed schedule is already sent to your mail. Please go through the same. And we are proceeding to the final session, final part of today's session, that is rendering vote of thanks by Ms. Gauri. I welcome Gauri for this.
Good afternoon, all. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And here it is, the webinar, a new venture started by the Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. I am taking the privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the Alumni Association and Researchers Forum, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala for the inaugural function of the webinar. First and foremost, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. G. Raju, Professor and Head, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace this occasion. I'm sure his thoughts will be a great encouragement for all of us for the days ahead. Thank you, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my hearty thanks to Dr. S. Kevin, former Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Kerala, for his support rendered to us for this program. We are all looking forward eagerly for your valuable views on research, which I know for sure would enlighten each one of us. Thank you, sir, for being with us on this occasion and also on the days to follow. I'm immensely thankful to Dr. Rasya Begum, Dean, Faculty of Commerce of University of Kerala and MG University, for being with us in organizing the program. I may like to express my deep sense of appreciation to Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, Director of IQAC and School of Business Management and Legal Studies, for giving an excellent coverage on briefing the overview of the program. On behalf of the Department of Commerce and on behalf of myself, I extend my gratitude to the coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Biju T, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala, for his dedication and immense support in conducting the program. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank all other faculties of the department, Professor Dr. P.N. Harikumar, Dr. Biju A.V. Assistant Professor, Mr. Vinu Ashok and Ms. Lakshmi S., lecturers, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala, for their valuable support in organizing the program. I would also take this opportunity to thank all the members of Researchers Forum led by Mr. Ananduraj and Alumni Association members who took great pain, effort and involvement in organizing the program. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for showing their interest in the program. I conclude with the hope that the program would enrich all of us and would help in the completion of the thesis with great quality. Thank you.
Thank you all. Expecting all your virtual presence on the technical session of tomorrow. Thank you.